some music for my streams. But the problem is, I don't know what would fit. So if any of you manage to go on YouTube's free database for music and you manage to find something that you think would go with my stream, I would really appreciate it. You can give it to me either on DMs on Twitter, or if not, you can go on my Discord and send it there. And I would really appreciate it, and I'll even credit you. So, hello. A little bit earlier this time. Yes, I know. I'm fixing my sleeping schedule again. So I'll probably go to bed by 5 p.m., 6 p.m. And as such, I decided to stream a little bit early. I don't know how many people are going to be here. Is it still Thanksgiving in America? Or was that yesterday? Because the time zones are a little bit confusing. Yeah, I know. There's always going to be people that go like no music. I'll try a stream and we'll see how it goes. There is something called streaming music. So it's not what you think. And I'm not going to play... Although, like, it's so annoying because on Twitch you can get away with playing songs. Like, you can play Sabaton on Twitch and stuff. But on YouTube you can't. Why are you up? It's 8 a.m., man. Like, when do you want me to be up? This is something really weird. Like, there's people who don't understand time zones. They think that it's 2 a.m. in their country. Then it's probably going to be 2 a.m. in Romania. No, it's 8 a.m. here. Like, it's normal for people to be up at this hour. It's Black Friday. What the fuck is Black Friday? I never understand, like, what... Okay, Black Friday is probably the biggest con in human history. And it's so bizarre that people do not understand economics at all. Like, if you had a store and you gave away stuff like 20% off and shit, how would you make a profit? How would you pay your employees? Like, this whole thing is a scam when it comes to Black Friday. Like, what they do, like, let's say they have something that's worth $100, right? A couple of months before Black Friday, they will make it cost 120 or 130. And then when it's Black Friday, they will say it's 20 or 30% off, and morons will buy it. It's such a dumb thing. Like, I'm not against consuming. Like, that's not the point. Like, if the percentages were real, if you literally got a discount on Black Friday, I would be in full agreement with you, right? But that's not what it happens. What it's happening is that, and I noticed this with many stores, they increase the price. Shut the fuck up, Stanton. It's 100% true. They increase the price. Usually 1 or 2 months before, sometimes weeks. And then they decrease the price and they say, oh, well, it's a discount. It's the same shit they do on Christmas. I mean, you know, maybe in your country they don't do this, right? So maybe I picked on Stanton for no reason. Maybe Stanton is very wise in my fucking chat. But I have followed this, even on Amazon and on other places, like online stores and stuff, where they talk about discounts. They don't technically lie, right? Because it's legal what they're doing. So they increase the price a little bit before, and then when they have the percent off, you think like you're getting a bargain, but you're not. The best time for shopping for Halloween candy in November, and the best time for Christmas shopping is in January. Well, by the time you finish Christmas, I guess, yeah, you can go and buy stuff. Well, the inflation isn't the problem, right? Because this is not something that's happening this year. It's something that's been happening for a while. And you can go on Google and you can see that stores are doing this. And I know people who own stores and they do that. Like, if all the other stores do it, you have to do it as well in order to remain competitive. I understand, right? But what I don't understand that is the morons that go on Black Friday. Because, like, my wife annoyed me with this. Like, she was really excited to go on Black Friday. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Just shut the fuck up. We're going to go next week. and then I showed her. Like, I even went up on websites and I showed her the prices before and after. And I was like, look. I went and I showed her, like, the furniture that we bought. And I was like, look, they increased the price. They increased the price so you get the illusion that you're getting a discount when you're not. You may get a discount, though. You know what? You may actually get a discount on Black Friday if it's something that doesn't sell. So, like, if they have, let's say, summer clothing, and now it's winter, and they want to get rid of them, they might actually give you a discount. But other than that, like, they don't. Everyone has Black Friday. Yes. It exists in Romania. It's just the most bizarre thing ever. I mean, it's been going on for so many years, and the fact that people still don't understand that it's a con and you're getting ripped, I don't know what to say. On Steam, like Steam sales do exist, right? So like when you talk about digital property, which can vary in price, yeah, sure, like maybe you get a Black Friday sale on Steam. But like in the real world, you probably won't. Yeah, like on video games, you actually do get a discount. But the thing is, right, like, the reason you don't get a discount, this pair of headphones, right, like, it costs money to make. So, let's say they're $100. I don't know how much they are, but let's say these headphones are $100. If the store gave it to you for $80, the store would be at a loss. They would be losing money. There's no fucking way they would do that. They're starting to tweak prices on Steam. I remember Medicare made a video about that. You don't get it. Black Friday is the best day to get other people to buy things for you. Oh, well, you know, I do agree with that, Chloe. Like, if you can manipulate people, like, if you can manipulate people with a need to shop, and they can shop for you, by all means. What are SGDs? I never got the SGD currency. Sergeant dollars? I saw some legit deals on Steam, though. Also, some things on my wish list for a month did get cheaper. Oh, Singapore dollars, I get it. The thing with I'll give you buyer's remorse. I'll give you $5 Singapore dollars of buyer's remorse. The thing is, Steam does legitimately give you discounts. So, it doesn't count. I already mentioned it as an exception. I think you underestimate the profit margin for some of these products. No, I don't. If the store, like, let me put it this way, right? If I'm a store owner, this shit costs $100, right? Now, if I can make it so that it costs $150 for a month, and then when it's Black Friday, I make it cost $120, and I say it's a discount, and people buy it, why the fuck wouldn't I? I mean, sure, you know, I can cut in my profit margins, and I can, you know, if I'm selling it for $150 and it's worth $100, I could cut into my profit margin. But why would I need to? I can make it $200 for a couple of months and then sell it for $175 because people are that fucking dumb. In fact, I know places on Black Friday where it costs more expensive. So things get more expensive on Black Friday because the demand is higher. And they will say it's like, oh, it's actually it's not more expensive. It's a bargain. You're getting a bargain. Yes. There are price trackers, yeah, and how many people use them? Like, there are websites, indeed, which track prices. How many people actually use them? You will not convince me on this. You will not sell me on the Black Friday black pill. I refuse. I live in I live in Romania, motherfucker. I don't know where you live. Like, maybe in your country things are different. But, like, here it's an abomination. Anyway. What did we have? We had Thanksgiving. I gotta say, there has been less articles that are attacking Thanksgiving now. Usually this time of year, you would get bombarded with articles. So the main theme is Thanksgiving is colonialism. It is imperialism. Like, that's a good thing. If you're on the side of the empire. Like, you're in the empire. Why the fuck are you complaining? Like, you would be complaining if you're outside the empire and the empire is coming to you. You're in the fucking empire. Shut the fuck up. Go eat your Starbucks. The empire provides. Holy shit. I mean, what? So, the Aztec Empire was better, huh? Anyway. I never understand this. It's like, oh my god, the empire is so bad. You're in the fucking empire! Shut the fuck up! Go benefit from the labors of the empire. Like, you get an iPhone. That's from the empire. Other people outside the empire don't get the iPhone. Suck my dollars? Oh my fucking god, that is such a good joke. Suck my dollars. Oh god. A lot of it is getting rid of, sorry. They're bragging, not complaining. They are bragging. Well, you know, like, at one point, so here's the thing. Like, this is how the conversation needs to happen. Whenever you talk about imperialism and stuff. human beings are very territorial. I mean, this is very true, right? Like, would you take a homeless person in your house? No, because it's your territory. Human beings, like most animals, because we are animals at the end of the day, we're a lot more evolved in the sense of intelligence. I mean, if you ask a Christian, they might have a different interpretation. But I, as an atheist, do believe that human beings are like animals. And we are very territorial, right? So, throughout human history, people fought over land. Now, some ancestors were better at fighting than others. Why the fuck would people be ashamed of that? Like, if you go back in time, like, let's assume you go back in time right now, and you give the Aztecs, you give them machine guns and ways to cross over the ocean. To reach Europe, right? So all the Aztecs now have machine guns and the technological capability of traveling to Europe. What do you think they will do? Like, how do you think events would play out? What do you think would happen? I mean, it's insane. But anyway, after Thanksgiving, I like to buy prime ribs beef. It's the only real Black Friday sale that matters. You know what? I'll probably buy some as well. Thank you, Shirley. I'm not that amazing, though. So where was I? Yeah. So my point with this is, like, why would you be ashamed of things that happened in the fucking past when you know that if the situation was reversed, the same stuff could have happened? I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's so fucking bizarre. It's like, oh my god, oh, our colonial past. Motherfucker, like, there's people in Mongolia which still worship Genghis Khan. Right? Like, to this day. Other nations aren't ashamed of their fucking past. We colonize each other. Yes, like, literally everyone was colonizing. Like, if you could colonize someone else, you would. Like, this is how nations were formed. How do you think borders were drawn? Is it like, all of a sudden, like, people just agreed? No, they were done usually through blood and warfare. It's like, this is our land, right? And we defend it. If you can take it from us, it's yours. But if you can't, then it's ours. Simple. 1-3 Mir, you were right about chickens. I hate my neighbor now. Why, thank you. You know what? Finally, I get fucking validation. Do you know how good I feel, Mir? Like, you're... I don't know what Mirs are. And I'm going to call you Mir, because it's a lot better than 1-3. Do you know how good I feel finally getting fucking validation? Like, this is why I don't get chickens. I don't want my neighbors to think that they live next to a savage. Like, what? If you're in a... Like, here's the difference. If you're on a farm like Tim Pool, and you have a lot of space, and there's no one around, yeah, sure, get chickens. Get whatever the fuck you want, you know? Like, if you want, get some parrots or pigeons to shit everything. Like, you can do that. But when you live in a gated community with house next to house next to house next to house, and you get chickens, you're an asshole. You're a fucking asshole. And if you do that, I will get cats. Hopefully my cats are going to dominate your fucking chickens. Yeah, they're loud as fuck. They're smelly. Because that's the problem, right? It's like, oh, well, don't get roosters. They're still loud. Like, why would you want to bother your neighbor? Like, why do you move into a community to bother your fucking neighbor? Just behave in a way that you would want other people to behave to you. People are quite ungrateful for having English as a first language. Empire wasn't perfect, but compared to our uncolonized neighbors, the difference is glaring. Yeah, like, this is the thing, you know. Romania was formed by the Romans colonizing the Dacians. And the Dacians brought a lot of Roman technology. They brought aqueducts, they brought roads. For the time period, it was very advanced. Now, I'm pretty sure if I lived during those times, it would have been horrible. But I didn't, right? So, because I'm looking back at history, I can conclude that yes, like, it was good under the Roman Empire for the Dacians. Because after the Roman Empire left, during the Aurelian's retreat, you now have all of the minorities coming in here. The Goths, the Ostrogoths, the Huns, the Visigoths, the Tatars. You know, all these very colorful and picturesque people coming from across the fucking world. Just plundering, destroying, not bringing anything. And it's like, yeah, you know, you read history like 1,000 years. Like, this is why Eastern Europe wasn't as advanced as Western Europe. Because, like, for 1,000 years, you have all these migratory people coming in, setting shop, demanding tribute. pillaging, raping, killing, right? And unlike the Romans, because the Romans did the same, right? Like the Romans also raped and pillaged. But at least they brought shit with them. They brought the aqueducts, they brought the roads. Man, the aqueduct is actually very important. I mean, you know, we think about it from our perspective now when you have irrigation and shit. But like, no, the aqueduct was actually very important. They brought their white rage. Yeah. Roads. Man, like the Romans apparently are the ones that invented the highway. Like the Roman highways. I mean, obviously it wasn't like a highway that you would have now. But it was like a straight road, very large, where armies could travel. And you had various patrols to make sure that there's no highwaymen. And those roads were very effective for two reasons. Like, number one, you have armies traveling. But number two, you also had various merchants and commerce and, you know, like places that would have been far away from each other and very difficult to connect were now accessible. Sanitation. Yeah, like the Romans also had a strong belief in sanitation. So the Romans' baths and all of that. No, like the Romans actually did enlighten the places where they went. You know, like this is something that the left likes to mock. It's like, oh, they went and civilized the savages, and the left is like abhorred by this. It's like, what do you mean the Romans? Oh my God, no, like that is such a bad way of framing. Blah blah blah. No one is sad. And then when you look and read history, you find out that there were people that were doing human sacrifices and shit. And it's like, yeah, you know, maybe they did contribute a little bit to enriching other parts of the world. Marcus Aurelius was one of their best things the Roman gave. Jesus. But no, like the thing is, the idea that all cultures are equal is something that the left doesn't believe. Let me show you something, right? I will prove to you that the left themselves do not believe that all cultures are equal. So this is a statement from Abdullah al-Nasari. I love his name. It's very beautiful. Very colorful name. So colorful, in fact, that they displayed a couple of colors next to it. If you're wondering about my new background, this is Bozet. Anyway, right. Abdullah al-Nasari, head of security at the 2022 World Cup. He is the one responsible for making sure that literally no LGBT flag was flown. Like, there were so many activists, you know, being like, oh, I'm going to go to Qatar and I'm going to I'll put my fucking armband and I'm going to march there and I'm going to... And then they meet Abdullah or his minions. And they were like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't, because like I paid money to get here and the ticket is expensive. So maybe I'll just take the armband off. This is what happened with Qatar. Again, people fucking knew. Like, this is what I don't understand. This is what just... You know what Qatar is, right? It's a religious theocracy. Far right. Now, you know the punishment for LGBT stuff. Okay, you get all that, right? Why do you spend money to go there? Why do you bring the business? What the fuck is wrong with you? If it's your principles, right? Like, so, there's two types of people. There is the type of person that likes football. Okay, if you like football, go to Qatar. If you don't like football, and you're into activism idea, you're not going to change shit by going there. You're just giving them money. You're giving them cash. Like there were a couple of individuals which went there, I think dressed as crusaders, and they got kicked out. Like, they weren't allowed to go into the stadium. And they viewed that as a win. And I'm like, how is it a win? You already paid for the ticket, you fucking moron. Like, you don't get refunds. You gave them your money, and you're not watching the football. And on top of that, you're a fucking tourist. You took a plane, you went there, now you spend money on a hotel, you spend money on other things, right? How is this a win? In what fuck? It's like coming to my channel by disagreeing with me and giving me super chats. It's literally the same shit. It's like Vosh coming here, dropping $1,000 super chat to argue with me. Oh my God, he showed me, didn't he? But This is something that I find very interesting. So Abdullah Al-Nasari, head of the security at the World Cup in Qatar, if you want to express your views on the LGBT cause, to do so in a society where it will be accepted. Do not come and insult an entire society. We will not change the religion for 28 days. Okay. Here's the thing. If I were to have my way, people from the Middle East that come to, let's say, France, right? They would have to accept the rules of the French citizens. So, in France, for example, you're not allowed to wear a hijab in public places because France is a secular nation. They believe that no religious symbols should be allowed in public. So, they don't allow you to have a roseberry in public, and they don't allow you to have a burqa, right? Leftists are livid. They don't understand. They don't fall like, no, that shouldn't be the case. No, I agree with France, because if I go to Qatar, Qatar doesn't have to become more Romanian. I have to become more fucking Qatarian because I chose to go there. The same way, if a Qatarian goes to France, France doesn't need to become more Qatarian. The Qatarian has to become more French. Why is that so fucking difficult to understand? Even in Star Trek, which is a very leftist show, and everyone is like, oh my god, I'm a Star Trek, oh, the next generation. Even there, Captain Picard wouldn't fuck with other people's traditions. Right? Now, if Qatar wants to join the European Union, then yeah, it would have to change certain things that it's doing. But unless he doesn't want to join the Federation of Planets, and they just want to do their own thing, that's fine. And when you go to Qatar, you Qatarianize yourself. And when a Qatarian goes to France, he becomes French. Why the fuck is it so fucking difficult to understand? Like, if you had this standard, I am willing to bet very few people would complain about immigration. In fact, most of the social friction is because this standard doesn't get applied. Because for some fucking reason, people think that, oh, well, we can have it both ways. And no one will complain. But anyway, right, Engine 50. It's been a while since I catch you streaming. But thank you, Edge. You know, maybe I should stream at different hours so that more people can catch me. I legitimately get criticism over this. Like, I got people in DMs telling me, like, V, you're streaming at weird hours. Like, I can't watch you. Like, try streaming in the morning. Like, oh, fine. Wait, you don't go to someone's house as a guest and start trying to move all the furniture to be like, oh, fucking spot on, Joshua. Joshua. I love you. I want your babies. Where are you from? New Zealand. Jessica Arden. Is Jessica Arden allowing for gay marriage? Because I want to marry you, Josh. Like, you just managed to like, accurately explain the problem, right? Imagine if I go to a friend's house to do some couch surfing. Like, I want to live to his place. Now, starting to move the furniture around so that I'm more like home, I can see why that may piss off the people in his household. Right? Like, if you just go there and you sleep on the couch and you don't bother anyone, sure, you know, maybe some house members might be upset. Like maybe, you know, the wife of the guy might be upset because she likes to spend a lot of time in her underwear and take farts. And she doesn't enjoy, like, whenever she gets out of bed, like, she sees me sleeping on the couch, makes her feel uncomfortable. I fucking get that, you know? But she would be more upset if I started moving the furniture around. Hello, Rosa. Welcome to the show. Destiny has the same take on Ukraine war. We should never allow a country with nukes to take land from a country without nukes, or it will be chaos everywhere. Like, I don't understand, like, allow. Like what the fuck does allow means? It's such a bizarre statement. Like, do you want to invade Russia? Because that's what it means, not allowing. Like, more than economic sanctions, like, what can you do? While people like Raging Gordon Eagle, The Quartering, etc. has a similar take, if only they stop giving money to Ukraine, all economic problems of insert country name here will stop. Ukraine actually got, from what I calculated, 5% of the American budget, of the American defense budget. So with 5%, America has crippled one of its political rivals. Sorry, one of its nation rival states. With 5%. I don't know, like, if you're looking at this from a strategic point of view, like if you're Team America by imperialism, like that is actually very economic. There was a American politician which actually explained what was going on, and I think his name is Creshaw, the one that has an eye patch, right? Like he explained, like, and the American public doesn't like this explanation because unfortunately it's too true. The reason that they're sending money to Ukraine is so that Ukrainian soldiers die and no American has to die, right? Like if you look at Russia, and this is not just my opinion, it's the opinion of most people in Eastern Europe. Again, if you're an American, I understand why you would disagree. But if you look at what Russia is doing, they're expansionists, right? So they tried taking Crimea. They were being appeased. Like, no one did anything when they took Crimea. And now they were trying to take Ukraine. And after that, they had other territories because the moment the war started, there was an entire article appearing on a Russian propaganda outlet talking about how they want to create the Great Russia again, like restart the Russian Empire, right? So eventually, you would still have a conflict, which is why the conflict is better that it happened now rather than later. And then you also have to look at China and Taiwan. Like, the United States cannot afford for China to take Taiwan, mostly because it creates over 90% of the advanced chips in the world. Imagine, like, a country during World War II, like if Poland was creating, the only country which was creating steam engines in the world. But the second thing, it's a massive trade hub. It endangers other American allies, such as Japan, right? South Korea. So if China and Russia would join forces and then try to take over Taiwan, it would be a different scenario because China can then give high-tech equipment to Russia. Russia has the manpower, and together with China, they pose a significant threat. So, like, this is the strategic reason why the United States wanted to cripple Russia, probably. Is to get, like, NATO bases as close to Russia as possible with nukes pointing at them and be like, okay, well, are you going to ally with China in the Taiwan conflict? Again, this is just my supposition. I understand if Americans don't agree with it. Can you just move Taiwan there? The thing with chip manufacturing is very difficult. From my understanding, like, you can't just create a factory that builds chips. Like, you need to create the machines that build the machines that build the machines that build the chips. Because the chips right now are so small that you need tiny robots to make them. And the knowledge and the intellectual property. So while the European Union is trying to make factories to make chips, it's not that simple. So this is like one of the reasons that you don't have chip manufacturing in the United States. But the second reason is the political one. So first of all is the economic trade that goes to Taiwan. I think it's like more than 50% of the entire world economy manages to trade. More than 50% of the international trade goes through Taiwan. And then you also have the position of Taiwan, which, again, like if China had it, it could endanger Japan, it could endanger South Korea, it could endanger the entire region. So yeah, the infrastructure is very complex. Why most right-leaning influence lost not only their balls, but their brains too? Well, I'll tell you why. Like, the thing with the conflict with Russia, right? Because this is, why doesn't NATO invade Russia? People don't want nuclear war. This is the main reason. Like, in nuclear war, no one wins, everyone loses. Like, what's happening now is because Russia decided to invade, right? Like, this was unilaterally done by Russia. The other nations did sanction them, and they sent weapons to Ukraine. Now, if you want more than that, like if you want actual intervention, well, then you have, like, nuclear conflict. Last time I checked, mutually assured destruction is still on the table. Like, that didn't change. So I would really prefer if we don't have a nuclear conflict. I don't know, like, if other people agree with me or not on this take, if Raging Golden Eagle agrees, or if Destiny agrees, but it's not something nice. It is what it is, I guess. We can dock Taiwan at San Diego. Anyway, let's stop talking about Russian. I'm a US citizen and I want more escalation. I mean, most people who want escalation don't want to be in the military. The thing is, like, if you want more escalation, and let's say you have a draft in the United States, which you didn't have forever, and then you or your family members or your children get drafted, and they turned into a meat grinder in God knows where in Siberia, I don't think you would enjoy that. Right? Like, it's nice to be the armchair general, but when shit hits the fan, a lot of people don't like it. Like, I prefer if Russia would sue for peace, right? I do understand Ukraine as well. Like, they noticed an opportunity and they're seizing it, so they want Crimea back. They want all their territories back, right? They want the Donbas region. I get it. But I personally want peace. Like, I don't particularly enjoy hearing the stories. And also knowing, like, what's happening with the Russians, right? Like, unlike leftists, I do have compassion for the Russian people. Like, the Russian people, at least the ones that I knew, the individuals that I know, are very solid motherfuckers. Like, they're very nice. I don't know if you guys know Russians on Discord, but they're really nice people, and what's happening to them is kind of fucked up. Right? I know a streamer by the name of Comrade Del. It's not his fault that there's a war. It's not his fault that he can't stream anymore and he doesn't manage to get donation. It's not his fault that the draft is looking for him, right? It's kind of fucked up, so that's why I would prefer if peace was settled, but it is what it is. Again, the problem with the Russians is not the individuals, but when they get together, right? Like when you have more Russians on a territory and they get together and then they form a government, that's when things go bad. But that's the problem. But other than that, they're fine. Peace will be found after war. Look at the planet. We have never gone without war. It depends where you're at, man. Like, there is a reason why in human history this is called the Great Peace. Now, a lot of people will say, yeah, well, like, but the peace is not real because the planet. It's like, okay, but like, let's not talk about the planet for a second, right? Let's talk about Europe. Like, European nations throughout human history had conflict. Like, you cannot find 5 years in human history where European nations haven't fought with each other. But now, after World War II, you have the Great Peace. And there haven't been any fights. Now, of course, you'll have certain people that ask us, like, oh, well, who cares about this? Like, why is Europe so important? And the reason Europe is so important is that, as I mentioned before, every 5 years you had a conflict. Like, the Europeans have got incredibly well at waging war. Right? To the point where they left Europe, they went to other civilizations, they conquered them, they humiliated the entire world. I mean, China calls it the century of humiliation, what happened when Europe went there. You know, they took over the Indians, they managed to expand on other continents, then they finally got bored of all the bloodshed, and they came back in Europe, started 2 world wars, some of the most devastating wars in human history. And when someone started to piss them off, and I mean really piss them off, like they really started fucking with them, the Europeans, which were in America now, they split the fucking atom, opening new avenues of science and nuking that country not once but twice. So this is why it's important that the Europeans are peaceful and they don't go back to war. Because if that happens, no one wins, right? Like nuclear annihilation is a problematic event. It's an event where I can definitely use the word problematic unironically. America is Europe too. Yeah, I mean, the United States, I would consider it to be the British Empire Part 2. You know, the same way the Byzantium Empire is a continuation of the Roman. The United States is probably like a continuation of the British Empire. Now, instead of fighting each other in Europe, you're nice to make fun of America for my healthcare and gun control. See, this is another problem that I have with the Americans. They think like healthcare is this godsend. It's like managing to hire Hephaestus or some other fucking some other fucking Greek deity in order to heal people, right? Like the government all of a sudden has this magic wand and starts healing people. Let me tell you something about public healthcare, right? First of all, you're going to have the government caring about the health of your country, right? So the government now has to pay for people to be healthy. So it doesn't want people to be sick. So now you have a tax on beer. I mean, look at what's happening in Norway and Sweden. Like, would the Americans be fine if they had to pay more, like $9 for a bottle of beer? Would Americans want that, right? Because you don't want people to get bad liver. You don't want people to get drunk and then use a hospital, right? You want them to stay healthy. So you tax alcohol, you tax cigarettes, you start shaming people who don't live a healthy lifestyle. Like the concept of like fat acceptance in Eastern Europe is non-fucking existent. Like, what are you doing? Like, do you want to take a hospital bed from someone else that needs it? The fuck is wrong with you, right? Like, it's public health, right? So you have to do all of these things. In Britain, you have tax on sugar. Like all of these taxes that arise because we need to care about the nation's health. In Canada, they're euthanizing poor people. Like, this is a controversy right now in Canada, right? Like, the way I say it is not really what's happening, but there have been cases in the media where it shows like, okay, so this person has like a back problem and he's in pain, but because he's going to end up homeless, he went to a doctor and he tries to get an approval to get whatever they call it, assisted suicide or some shit. Right? So like, why do they do this? Well, they're doing this because of the public health issue. Like, if the government pays for public health, well, the government needs to stay solvent and it needs to manage to be able to pay for the public health, which is why they're going to take more taxes from people. They're going to make people live a different lifestyle. And then they're going to figure out ways not to pay. We talk to different Americans. They don't all think that way. No, but it's so bizarre when I see people praising the public healthcare state. And then you have the pharmaceutical industry, which a lot of people don't understand. Like, why is it more expensive to buy the exact same medicine in the United States than it is to buy it in India? And the answer is simple. The Indian government protects its citizens, right? So they then buy the rights from a pharmaceutical company to have, like, for example, treatment for hepatitis in India, right? So when the government negotiates, they negotiate for cheaper. But you need to understand, if you're a company that develops drugs, right? So you want to develop a new cure for hepatitis. In order to do that, you're probably going to spend a lot of money on 20, 30, maybe even 40 attempts before you get it right. Now, all that money you're not going to get back. So in order to get it back, when the pill is on the market, you're going to raise the cost. Now, the only place where you can actually do this is in the United States. Because if you try it in Europe, the European government doesn't allow it. If you try it in India, the Indian government doesn't allow it. So this is why, like, almost universally, most medical breakthroughs happen in the US. So in other words, the United States pays premium for the pills that they're inventing, and then they're selling it cheap to the rest of the world, right? And what I understand why Americans are livid about this. Like, I completely get it, but what I don't get is why someone from Europe, like a Brit, looks at the Americans with his crooked teeth and goes like, oh, the Americans are so stupid. They're literally giving you cheap pills. Shut the fuck up. I'm Russian and I wish Russia Federation was no more. Oh, well, after Putin, I'm pretty sure that will happen. Like, the prospect of a civil conflict in Russia is quite high if Putin isn't president anymore. Because I don't see who else... Like the thing with Russia is that you will always need a strong man in order to lead there. Like, you're not going to have a democracy like it's in the United States. There are too many ethnicities, there's too many languages, right? So you need some authoritarianism there, unfortunately. Otherwise, you're going to have just regions of Russia just disbanding, and you're going to have civil conflict. The problem with civil conflict in Russia is that it's the second biggest nation in the world when it comes to nukes, right? So the United States is the first, Russia is the second. The medicines are expensive here because of the rabbit hole of medical billing. There's a lot of reasons. It's not just one explanation. about just using some of that Ukraine money for research and development. The Ukraine money is usually going for the defense budget. Not to mention, like, the whole Ukrainian conflict. Like, I'm pretty sure there are people over there that are watching how those weapons actually function in real time, and they're like, okay, so this needs an upgrade. This one is too expensive to manufacture. Like, maybe we can remove some of the components. So technically, there are people actually using the conflict as research and development. It's why we pay so much for socialized healthcare for the rest of the world. Do you want to know something else that's interesting? I saw an article claiming that the NHS, if it was a military, it would have been the third biggest founded military in the world. So that if the United Kingdom were to take money away from NHS and just invest them to build a new army, it would be like the world's third biggest army. That's how much it costs. And it's so convoluted that most people in the UK have no fucking idea how much do they actually pay for the NHS. Like you have like a standard fee, but then like the government gives money from other places and really allocates, right? Like all the money gets collected by the government and then the government redistributes it. You have no idea how much you're paying for the NHS. And the thing is, right, like last year, for example, I paid for hospital in my country, I think around $2,000 or maybe $3,000, right? Like, I didn't get anything. I didn't go to a hospital once, and yet I spend money out of my fucking pot. Now, for me, this level of cash is insane. Again, like, you guys are thinking as an American, but here, the value of money is different. So, the idea that you're not going to a hospital, but you are paying for it every single month is insane. Anyway, I don't think India is the most diverse. I think Russia is more diverse than the United States. Like, Russia is where the United States would be if it keeps on this practice. So, like, if the United States maintain its policies in 20, 30 years, it would become like Russia. You need to take into account that during the communist period of Russia, they had the same implementations of moving people around, getting different ethnicities, mixing them up, and because like when you have a dictator, diversity is their strength, because throughout human history, you need to create conflict and pit people against each other so that you can rule over them better. It's what happens in prisons, basically. Like in prisons, the guards, they get outnumbered by the convicts. Like if all the convicts would be against the guards every single day, no prison would be manageable. So what they do is like they start creating conflicts. It's like they separate them based on various gangs and affiliations. They separate them based on race. They separate them based on a lot of different factors in the hopes that the prisoners fight against each other and rather than looking at the guards. Yeah, I mean, in Russia, exactly. You got the Slavs, you got the Caucasians, you got the Central Asians, you got Muslims. I mean, a lot of people do not mention the fact that under Putin, more mosques have opened in Russia than I think any other ruler in the Russian Federation. Like, please tell me someone different that had like more mosques being open under his rule. I don't think there is. So Russia is very diverse, culturally, religious. Like there are so many Russians. So there are so many Russias. Like you have the rural Russia, you have the city Russia. There's like the rural villages that are more advanced and rural villages that don't even have plumbing. You got Russians which are Muslims. You got Russians that are Christians. It is what it is. I'm not talking about trading, by the way. I'm talking about when you have like a group of people and you encourage their differences rather than trying to unify them. If that makes any sense. Anyhow. Let's look at the very beautiful article that I found just before making this video. So Elon Musk has decided to give amnesty. I love the framing. It's like give amnesty. Obviously, only the government can give amnesty, but we now see Twitter, which, if I'm not mistaken, they actually did have like a foreign relation department or some shit like that. Hold on. Where is the article? Did I not save it? Here we go. So if you had an account on Twitter, I will tell you this. All right, like take my word for it. I'm not lying to you. Twitter is now a fun platform. Like right now, there are so many people that came back. It's kind of like 2016 Twitter. So if you had an account and it got banned, you may get it back next week. I fully encourage people to do so. It's really nice. You can subscribe to me. You can DM with me. Like if you want to talk, I will do that. Twitter is now officially a really usable and fun platform, and you get to see a lot of left-leaning people crying, not because they're getting banned, but because people they disagree with are getting unbanned. So, Elon Musk announced for a general amnesty for suspended Twitter accounts from next week, provided that they have not broken the law or engaged in egregious spam. Online monitoring groups have reported a rise in racismus. You know, I need a theme song for racismus. Like, I need to bring some gravitas. Like the intro song in Doom, you know, like racismus, anti-Semitismus, and other hate speech. Okay, so I can explain for this. First of all, they consider, like, the bar for what is racism is so fucking low. Like, let me put it this way. If you don't like the new Walt Disney black mermaid movie, you're a racist. Alright, like that's literally what it takes. I'm willing to bet there is some grandfather out there, like, back in my days, if I wanted to be called a racist, I had to burn a cross in front of some lawn. You know, it took actual hard work. You kids have it easy. Like, I'm willing to bet there is probably a racist out there complaining about how easy it is to get the title now. To get the achievement. Like, don't like a Disney movie. The mouse. Oh no. Oh, USB, alright? So, like, this is what they consider racism. Anti-Semitismus would have happened even if you had the previous ownership at Twitter, because the anti-Semitismus right now is coming mostly from black celebrities that are struggling with it. Dave Chappelle being the last one. And the reason you have it, and I think like there was a late night comedian which articulated this as well, like my point exactly. So there was a basketball player, Mr. Irving. And by the way, anti-Semitismus, from what I understand, is just critical race theory, but with a twist, right? Like, critical race theory says white people have too much power in society. But if you name the ethnicity of those white people, that's anti-Semitism, right? So you have to be very careful, because the line between far-left identity politics and anti-Semitism is very blurry. Like it's like a string. It's just very delicate. It's very gentle. You know, you can be fine and a prestigious member of Hollywood, but you say one thing and so what is the name of the football player? Sorry, the basketball player. Forgot his name. Mr. Irving, I think, right? Like, let me check to see. Irving. Irving anti-Semitismus. Yes, Irving. Right. Kyrie Irving. Okay. So, Kyrie Irving does the anti-Semitism. I don't know what the fuck he said. Honestly, I don't even care. But he said something offensive, right? Now, instead of like having a dialogue and a conversation, the solution is to tell Mr. Irving to sit down and shut the fuck up, right? Like you're not going to participate in the sports events. You're not going to play basketball until you realize that Jewish people do not control the world. I do not think this is a correct solution. I do not think that this changes anyone's mind. I do not think that this is how you get rid of anti-Semitism. So maybe the activists are the ones failing. You know, maybe it's not Elon Musk and Twitter. Maybe it's the activists that need to find better tools at solving this problem. I'm just saying. Because it's fucking bizarre. You know, like if I was a kid and I thought that, I don't know, my father is all powerful, right? And then I'm being locked in my room and I'm told to shut the fuck up until I come to the conclusion that my father isn't all powerful. Like, how does that make any sense? How does that work? So, yeah, this is why you have like the anti-Semitism on Twitter. But like, what's more interesting, and I can make the argument that censorship makes it worse, right? So, the reason you have free speech is for people to air their grievances. Like, the same way a pot that's boiling has a place where the steam can go out. Because otherwise it fucking explodes. So you allow people to speak and air their grievances so that they don't do violence. Right? Like you do the negotiations to avoid the fucking violence. Like if you have a couple where they have problems between each other. Doesn't matter who's right and who's wrong. But there are problems within the couple. If they don't talk to each other, it makes things worse. Right? Like if the woman comes home and she is worried that the husband has cheated on her, let's assume that he didn't. Right? But if the husband says, shut the fuck up, woman, never bring those accusations again. Is that healthy for the relationship? Is that going to fix anything if you refuse to communicate? I don't see in human history a time where censorship actually was a good thing. And we can look back and we can say, oh, I'm so glad they censored such and such, because otherwise... Now, finally, and this is an argument that Elon Musk made himself, and I agree with it. Elon Musk said that if something is so offensive, why isn't it illegal? Like if something is so dangerous, right? Like just by talking about something is very dangerous, why isn't it illegal? And many people will say, well, the Constitution. But the Constitution can be changed, right? Like if everyone agrees, like for example, everyone agrees that blackmailing is wrong. So blackmailing is an exception from the American Constitution, even though it's still done by speaking. Like even if like being prevented to blackmail someone is a violation of your free speech, because you're technically just, you know, using words in order to do it. But it's illegal, right? So if everyone agreed that you know, like hate speech is illegal, why isn't it a law? Because when it's a law, well, now it's clearly defined. You know what it is. You're taken to a court. You're allowed to present your case. The accusation brings the evidence. You bring the counter evidence. You have a trial, a jury of your peers. And then if you're sentenced, it's a finite punishment, right? Like you get, I don't know, either a fine or years in prison. But then after you serve the time, you get out. What happens on the internet is atrocious. So like someone can make a rap joke, a rap lyric like we seen in Britain, or a racist joke or something. They get banned and they're never allowed to come back. So you can do something when you're 18 years old and you're being edgy, and then in the future you're like 45 years, you still can't use the internet. It's fucking insane. It's ridiculous. Who agreed to this shit? Oh, the activists. I see. And not to mention, like, how did it get to this point? Well, you have some self-appointed activists who are the ones that are speaking on behalf of the fucking community. And when the community speaks for itself, as you can see, 72.4% of people have voted yes. And these are 3 million votes. So, like, the activists do not speak for the community. They speak for less than 30%. It's like opening the gates of hell in the terrible evil it will cause. Oh my fucking god. How did you manage to live through life back in 2014 when Twitter was like 4chan? Unironically, it was. Like everything you could have said on 4chan, you could have said it on Twitter. So like, how did you manage to go through life? How did you manage before the internet? Because before the internet, well, first of all, you had you had local newspapers that could publish literally anything they wanted. But then you had the post, the phone company. You wouldn't monitor anyone. And hello, Amakumoras. Alexander says, Chicken Club meteorite impact, dinosaur killer, was estimated as several thousands gigatons. All the nukes in the world, megatons. How is nuclear war will end the world? It's not necessarily like it's the main problem with nuclear war is that it causes radiation, it destroys the water supply, it poisons the land, it makes farming more difficult, it will destroy your infrastructure. I mean, just imagine what would happen in your country if you didn't have access to electricity and no cars function, right? So you can't withdraw your money from an ATM, you can't heat your house during winter, the stores are empty, there's no food there because like no one can bring the supply chains into the stores. People are going to be desperate and they're going to be fighting against each other. There's no police now, right? Like, this is what we're talking about. This is just the MP. Like, we're not talking about the actual nuke. Now, if you have, like, actual, like, nuclear warfare, a lot of the land will be unfarmable. You will have radiation and radioactive waste. Obviously, you know, it's not going to be the end of the human race. I mean, that's a little bit of a stretch. But it can set humanity back to medieval standards, where literally no one is a winner. So yeah, I mean, that's why, you know, it's not like, oh, well, the meteorite that killed the dinosaurs was more powerful. Like, okay, fine. First of all, there's no dinosaurs remaining, so just because the meteorite was very strong, that doesn't mean that something smaller than that meteorite wouldn't have had the same effect. But yeah, I would rather not find out, to be honest. I would rather not find out to see if you're right or I'm wrong. And you also need to take into account the nuclear winter. Anyway, right. How many years is the question? I have no idea. Dust in the upper atmosphere reflects sunlight back into space, and the Earth will cool dramatically. Ice Age. I mean, we survived. No, we didn't survive jack shit. Like, we survived the meteor. Your ancestors survived the meteor, and the question is, like, how many died? You see, like, this is the thing. Like, just because it happened in the past doesn't mean like, you would get through it if it happened in the present. The world doesn't end, we do. Well, like, it depends. I don't know. Like, there might be pockets of humanity that manage to live. But it would be a really nasty life. Like, you would be stuck back into medieval ages. Anyway, right. Let me know what you guys think. I will end the video here. I'll probably talk about this article tomorrow. Thank you for watching. I know it was a late hour, so I really appreciate the viewership. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.